I sort of explained it as I go out and look for the world's best in all these different categories: budgeting, savings, crypto, oil and gas, real estate, all that. And we get them to create, courses for us at WealthFit that people that subscribe to WealthFit get access to. So it's one subscription to get access to the whole library.
This is Experts Unleashed, revealing how professionals and entrepreneurs transform experience into income while positively impacting the world. For years, Joel Irway has helped entrepreneurs develop and launch their expert-based businesses, growing them beyond 6 and even 7 figures a year. Now, a professional expert serves their community through paid training, education, or service. This podcast will help you design and execute your plan to become a 6 or 7 figure expert without a massive team. To get more information or apply now, visit theperfectexpert.com. Let's get started.
Hey experts, what's going on? Welcome to another episode of Experts Unleashed. Joel Irway here, and I'm super excited for today's guest. We have a very, very special guest. Today's episode is going to be fascinating for you. I'm super excited to dive in. I have a longtime friend that he doesn't even know that we were friends, but I've been following him for a long time. We come from similar backgrounds, and I'm just very excited to dive deep into today's conversation. Today, I've got Dustin Mathews from WealthFit on the line, and we are going to be talking about all things entrepreneur journey, all things wealth, I'm assuming, and all things possibly we'll even dive into the art of presentations. But Dustin, welcome to the show, man.
Joel, man, I'm fired up to be here. Longtime admirer of yours, and so I'm super glad to connect, face to face, and then share some stories.
Yeah, so we operated in, well, you don't currently operate there anymore, but we operated in similar backgrounds at one point during our careers. So I heard just nothing but praises about you from some very high level individuals. And they all kept saying, you got to connect with Dustin. You got to connect with Dustin. And they specifically called you out, by the way. They weren't mentioning your other company. They were just like, nope, you need to talk to Dustin. I'm like, all right. So here we are. We finally made the connection. And so Dustin, man, I'm excited to have you on the show. Why don't you give our audience a quick background? What is WealthFit? And what are you guys all about? Let's start there.
Yeah, absolutely. I can sum it up real easy. We're the Netflix of wealth creation courses. So we believe there's an opportunity in the marketplace that other platforms online, like a LinkedIn or a Udemy or a Masterclass, they're building libraries, but no one is assembling a library of like wealth creation or preservation or personal finance in one area. Like there's a bunch of gurus and experts and teachers, but it's all disjointed. So we're building that here at WealthFit, and man, it's exciting. It's fun. And it's all things, personal finance, wealth creation, entrepreneurship, all in one place.
That's awesome. So how long has the company been around?
Gosh, we've been around for probably about 2 years now. The start was, it was born out of something else. And now it has grown where it was just in serving one niche, I should say. And we decided that we wanted to be beyond just that one niche and branch out to the rest of the world and basically assemble this library of, wealth creation and preservation information. And so about 2 years now we've been going, but we've only recently made available what we're doing now to the rest of the world just this year, in January of this year.
So is your target audience, is it exclusively entrepreneurs or is it broader than that? I mean, it's all wealth creation, yeah. Right? So let's talk about that.
Good question. Let's talk demo. So our audience, we call them 3 things. So they're investors, they are entrepreneurs, and they're money-minded go-getters. Then that's sort of our catch-all category, meaning like, some people are coming to the platform because they want to manage their money better. They want to learn how to budget and save. Maybe they're going to have a career and they just want to, do and manage their money better. Other people are coming to us because they want to take the money they're making, maybe an entrepreneur, maybe a career-minded individual, and they want to now do stocks, or they want to understand crypto a little bit more, or even oil and gas. And then the final segment are entrepreneurs and people that want to start opportunities like an Airbnb business, or how to start selling on Amazon, different things. So I've always been brought, the riches are in the niches, and I believe that. However, we have a lot of resources behind us, so we're able to roll out to these 3 markets at once.
That's fantastic. So are you guys bringing in other experts to teach it? I mean, how is this all presented inside of the library?
Yeah,
Because
absolutely.
you're recording a course today. You actually stopped to do the podcast. So, right?
I did. And it's, it's so funny. I want to say, Joel, like I go out and recruit guys like you and folks watching the show, the world's leading experts in all these different categories. And it's funny because like we're under this rhythm to create a course a week here because we're really ramping up the platform here, and people fly here to the studio and record. So it's not like you do it from home. We've got a team behind us that writes the presentation, that does the slides, that scripts, and then people come here to San Diego and record in the studio. And so for the longest time, I was fighting creating my own course. Like I was really, and I know we're going to get here, but I was trying to put like my past behind me, and I'm like, this is a chance for me to start fresh. But you know what? When the funnel isn't as full as you want it to be with trainers coming in, because we gotta, it's not everybody comes through, gets a course. You got to step up. So the team persuaded me to come and create a course today. But it's just funny how sometimes your mindset, you've been successful in one area and you're on a new path, you're on something different, and yet your mind, says, trips you up a little bit. So I want to share that no matter the journey of an entrepreneur, we're always like having to battle that, I found. And so I wanted to share that with you. So I sort of explained it as I go out and look for the world's best in all these different categories: budgeting, savings, crypto, oil and gas, real estate, all that. And we get them to create, courses for us at WealthFit that people that subscribe to WealthFit get access to. So it's one subscription to get access to the whole library.
That's awesome. That's fantastic. Yeah. What is the, so what are you seeing as being kind of like, how do I word this? It's not, I don't want to say that maybe it is the unique differentiator, right? But I mean, I haven't heard of, because it's not a Udemy, because Udemy would be buying individual courses, not a lynda.com. Yep. I mean, are you the first platform out there to kind of open this up as a kind of non a la carte platform, Netflix based subscription model? My understanding of Lynda, we did some research.
Some people, that are part of the team did more substantial research. My understanding of Lynda is that you actually, when you subscribe to them, you get everything. And so the differentiator, we're not different in that fact, but we are different because, you go to Lynda or LinkedIn Training as it's known now, and it is professional, it's career-minded stuff. So you want to learn PowerPoint better, or you want to, learn customer service, things in the working world, the career-minded corporate, if you want to call it that. So the content is different. Udemy allows someone like from home to put together a slide deck, record it, and upload. So we're different from that regard because we're doing a high production. We're paying for all of that to take place here to create higher quality courses, and to create a better experience. And so really, Joel, to answer your question, I feel like the biggest differentiator is just one place to go for the money conversation. So, as you grow as an entrepreneur, I wish I had done this when I was doing my previous venture, more smart or smarterly. Yeah, making up words on the fly here. I've been recording a little bit, so the brain's getting a little mush. So basically, as an entrepreneur, I wish I had taken more of my money and put it into investments because, I had always envisioned, Joel, like I was going to have some Silicon Valley, exit. And it didn't happen for me. And for a lot of people, it doesn't happen that are entrepreneurs. And so why put everything into your business? And listen, an entrepreneur will automatically do that. But at the same time, put that backup plan. And when you do things increasingly, I don't want to say, when you subscribe to different like methodologies and investing principles, like it makes actually building your business and growing your business a lot better. So that's why I'm so excited and thrilled is to be sharing things with the world that I wish I had known as an entrepreneur business builder.
What are some of your most popular courses like right now? Like people who are joining, where are they flocking to? Like what's hot?
Well, real estate is just a classic example. It's just an evergreen. It's just a massive market, and you've seen no shortage of infomercials and seminar companies. And so real estate for sure, because it's so, I don't want to say ubiquitous, but like everyone has to buy a house or live in a house or an apartment or an Airbnb. And so people just get it. It's in your face every day. Stocks would be the next one because everyone knows an uncle or somebody that's made money, lost money, dabbled in the markets. And so beyond those, because those are like the perennial winners, beyond those, there's some really fun ones that people are loving. And it's this idea of, investing in gold. Now, Joel, like gold and silver, it's like pretty boring. You buy it, you put it over here in the closet and you hope it goes up. However, we got a course about how to cash flow gold. And so we found this trainer, and he came in and he basically goes to yard sales. He goes to the swap market. He, just talks to friends and family. And what he's found is there's a lot of gold and diamonds and silver sitting in places, maybe someone, this is such a bad example, but it's coming to mind and it's easy. Maybe someone gets divorced. They've got the ring. They don't want the ring anymore. So they want to get rid of it. Or maybe, somebody passed away and it's just sitting there and it doesn't have sentimental value. And so that's just one example of the opportunity. So this idea that you can actually go out there, buy gold, melt it down, and then flip it, kind of like in real estate, it's been very appealing because traditionally you buy and you hold gold or diamonds or silver. And so this idea that you can go do it, that's been popular. Another one, just real quick, is how to start your own Airbnb business. And you might think, well, that's kind of tough because you got to own the property. But one of our trainers basically will put together a lease or put together an option essentially on a property, letting the landlord know all up front, like, listen, I'm not going to actually live here. I'm going to make this an Airbnb, but you've got comfort knowing that every month I'm paying you whatever rent is. And so it's almost like arbitrage, like rent arbitrage, if you want to call it that. So those are the kinds of courses that we're creating in addition to how to just manage your money better. For me, that's something I avoided a lot because I love marketing. I love sales. I love conversion. I don't like counting and looking at all the expenses. But we got that because every entrepreneur, every, money-minded person needs that stuff. So
are people asking, are your customers asking for new programs? Like what's upcoming? Like what are some of the hot things that they can look forward to? Kind of unique opportunities.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, for the longest time, we were really in the money conversation. So we were really focusing a lot of time just around personal finance and investing topics. But really what people are really fascinated by is, it's very common. It's called a side hustle. You just call it entrepreneurship. So we're actually putting a lot of emphasis into the entrepreneurship part of it, like how to build your own personal brand that's coming out, how to start this business and make more money. Because it's timely at the time of this interview, taxes are on people's minds. So we just released, brand new, we just released courses on how to basically, pay less taxes ethically, of course, but how to really get in and understand how to structure things. Again, that's not something I even cared about back in the day because I was just so busy on, the other side, just make it rain, just, keep sales coming in, do webinars, do speaking. And so what I've come to realize is, gosh, there were so simple things that I could have done, that would have saved me some money. And so I'm realizing these things now. And so these are some of the popular things that are coming up that we're just getting feedback from, our customers on, what are the things they want to know about. And so it's funny because you think, and, as as an entrepreneur, you think like you're going this direction, but if you're smart, you'll listen to your customers and they'll tell you all right, maybe you should go over here. And so it's really exciting because we get to see a lot of data. And that's not something, even though I did presentations, I didn't do as many webinars as you did. And I know there's a lot of data there, but it's really fascinating to see the data behind the scenes of course consumption, what people are interested in. And that's the power of what we're doing at WealthFit.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, there's so much noise out there. And I mean, I'm very much involved with a lot of my clients are in the business opportunity space. So, we're putting webinars and presentations together for their stuff. And me personally, if I'm writing the webinar, I usually end up selling myself on whatever it is that, we're writing the script for. And in the investment, with WealthFit, I can see this being super, super beneficial to get in and be like, okay, cool. Here's a platter of different things that I could possibly go down and giving them the options of, okay, cool. This sounds like it's something that I'm seriously interested in. And it gives them that ability to kind of dabble and dip their toe in the water to see what's out there. I love it.
Yeah. It's kind of like the newspaper. I know we think of that as old school now, but the great thing about newspaper or print stuff is you stumble onto it, in this age of tech, everything's custom to you based on it. So you're likely only seeing certain things that don't take you out here. Just like when I was building, the previous company, it was very direct response. I was into marketing, conversion, that sort of stuff. And I really didn't come across investing information, and I wish I had. And so that's our idea, is that someone comes to WealthFit, they come in for a reason, but they're staying because they're like, oh, maybe I should check out this tax thing. I've been avoiding it. Or maybe I should like take some of these money I'm making and put it into like life insurance or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Dustin, you've got a very interesting story of how you got to where you are now, how you got to WealthFit, right?
Yeah.
Can we talk about that? Let's talk about your journey to what brought you to this moment in time. I think it'd be very fascinating to kind of let people know that the world of the entrepreneur can be in a very up and down, windy road.
Yeah, I have to like, it's quasi emotional, meaning I'm not crying over here, but like I think about it. And the reason why was the way that it happened. It's not even a story, but this is the way it happened. Throughout the year, back in 2017, people would come up to me at masterminds and events, and they're like, hey, Dustin, I support you if you want to leave. And I'd look at them and I'd say, like, I created this. Like, what are you talking about? I co-created this. And I didn't understand. And I think there were signs, Joel, and I'm really getting present to this because before I adopted what many entrepreneurs is I ran through walls, and I still do. But I didn't take time and listen to the signals and slow down. And so that happened, and that was weird. But sort of the thing that really pushed me over the edge was my grandmother passed. And I was at the funeral, and despite my public speaking background, there was no plan for me to get up and say words, but something came alive inside of me. And I said, I just have to share. And I didn't know what I was going to say. I just knew I needed to get up there. And so I did. And as I started sharing it, I remember like the voice coming in my head, like, do I want to be on this path? Do I want to be here a year from now where I was? And I said no. And it was weird. I fought it because this is my baby, like 9 years, almost 9 years into building this thing, brand recognition, books, blah, 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 all that stuff. But I just said, no, I don't. And so my wife's amazing. And she knew many years. You experienced that, Joel? Like,
oh yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's your journey. What you think you want to do at one point in time is much different than your priorities change. And that's the best way that I've been able to explain it, is that everyone's priorities change over the course of time.
That's exactly right. And I was also asking you too, like your spouse, like having the ability to see things before you do. Like that's been amazing. I've talked to a lot of entrepreneurs, and if they've got, great spouses, like it's almost like they should be your coach. They should be your mentor, because they see it 3 to 5 years. And yet I'm paying this person over here to coach me. And they say it. I'm like, oh, my wife's been saying that. Why am I paying you? But it takes that, because sometimes you're too close. And so my wife's amazing. She backed me. And so I just simply, I got with my partners and I said, listen, I'm out. And they didn't want to hear it at first. Like, it was just like, okay, like take some time off, that sort of thing, which I would have done too. I would have been like, hey, you want to think this thing through? But it didn't change. And I had to keep recommunicating. And I would like to say it was for sure an amicable breakup. They bought me out, and I just took time off, and it was great, Joel. I want to tell you, I got 2 young boys. And so when I did that, the holidays were kicking. So it was October, Halloween, into Thanksgiving, into Christmas. It was perfect time of year. I was building sandcastles because I live in Florida. I was living in Florida, and I was making pumpkins, and I was making pumpkin muffins because I like pumpkins, I guess, with the kids. And so it was great because I was really present with them, something that I don't feel like I did. And that was a big wake-up call for me, is that I want to be there. My dad was a pilot, and he was there for the family, but he'd be on long stretches, away. He was in the military before that. And so that woke me up. And so come January, after like all the holiday ether wore off, I got the itch. And you know what I'm talking about, entrepreneurs, builders,
creators. Shut it off.
You can't shut this thing off. Like
nope.
you could take the time, but like you want to create. So what I did, what my wife told me to do, and the business coach, even though I was not in business technically anymore, I still had a coach. And they're like, you need to create a list of all the people you know in the world. And so I did. Got Dexter's chalkboard and I wrote down all the names and I just started smiling and dialing. No sale. I was just like, hey, what's going on in the world? And I was blown away at what was happening. And so I just made this list. I flew to San Diego to meet some people to see what was going on, to see how I could be a part of something. And I just put it out there and I made it known to people like, hey, I'm ready to play the game again. How can we play together? And so that's where I found out what WealthFit was doing. I'm like, darn it. Like I needed WealthFit at my prior thing because I didn't get the Silicon Valley payday, as I mentioned. You know, it wasn't like I could just retire and be done for the rest of my life. Like I needed to do some things. And I wish I had done more life insurance. I wish I had put more money into stocks and other vehicles. And I didn't, because like I did what everyone does. You just hustle and you grind and you put it into the thing because that puppy's going to sell. But that didn't happen for me. So that's how I ended up here at WealthFit.
Yeah. I think it's a fascinating story and something that all entrepreneurs and experts can relate to at some point, because as we go through our own journeys, you know, I've read a lot of books and I've actually had a lot of guests on with talking about goal setting and vision setting. And I give people so much credit who can actually do it and stick to it. I've tried. I understand the purpose. I understand the importance. Sticking to it and seeing that vision is something that I believe is just a very, very unique gift, because my vision changes sometimes like on a weekly or daily basis. Like, and it's not even chasing different opportunities. It's being present to see what that overall North Star vision is. And I think for entrepreneurs who are creators like you and me, we, you know, that's just in our blood. Like we have to keep starting. And the reason why I'm talking about that is like during our journey, our priorities of when we started something, you know, when you started your company 9 years ago, 10 years ago, whatever it was, like, I'm sure you had a vision. This is what I want it to be. And, you know, over the course of time, like it's going to change. And obviously it did change after 9 years, and it's okay. It's okay. But, you know, creating that momentum, you built up a lot of momentum with that business. I'm sure that momentum was really weighing on you and holding you back when you started to have those other priorities, those other desires, those other feelings. And so I just kind of wanted to recognize that, like, it's a real thing. Like you know, some people might look at him like, oh, you've got a successful company. Like, you know, you can be so happy. It's like, well, we all have different, like, priorities change, like our wants and our desires change. And it can be really, really difficult to make that change. Really painful.
Joel, this is so powerful what you're sharing. I was told a version of this, like what comes to mind is my business arrangement, my partnership there. And for the longest time, it was a loose thing. I mean, we might have had bullet points, but it was nothing like really formal. And we were friends, you know, as partners. And so, you know, he was maybe, I think he was at least 10 years older than me. And so we were sort of codependent on each other. I'd like to, I don't want to say I'd like to think, I think that's what the case was. But the biggest advice that was given to me was like, you know, things are going to change. You never know what's going to happen if you have a partner. You never know, like, if something tragic happens or something crazy happens in their life and they want to go pursue it. And so to think that you're not going to evolve, or to think that the person, if you have a partner, is not going to evolve, or multiple people, it's risky business. And so you are absolutely right that we as humans evolve. We get different interests. We have kids. I started the other business before I even had kids. So I was like a wild man. And then, you know, you get kids and that changes, you know, things. You get married and kids, and that changes some things. And so it's just life. And so that is a very good point you bring. And hopefully those listening, if you're the young guns, just know, like, change is going to happen, and you should be wise and slow down for half a second and focus on that and hedge against it. And then you will be glad you did, because then 10 years won't have passed. And I
want to focus on one of the things you talked about during that story, which really focuses on what my true belief is. You know, entrepreneurs are the ultimate opportunity seekers, like learning how to spot, create, and seize opportunities. You talked about smiling, dialing, like you had severed ties with your previous company, or I'm not sure if I get this exactly right, but basically you were leaving your previous company and you're taking some time off, right? And then you said, create a list and just start smiling, dialing. What were you, explain what was going on there?
It was just essentially to see what was going on in the world. So I wanted to get, like, we go to these seminars, we go to events, and, we're on Google groups, and, like we know, or we think we know what's going on in someone's world, or the business that they're building, or the projects they're, tackling. And so this was about just getting in the lives of others and figuring out what's going on. And really I came with the add value. Like, it wasn't like, where's my next partner? It was more than that. It was, I'm going to call these people and connect and see how I can help them and support them. And I did. I made connections. I was like a little JV matchmaker broker, not getting paid. I was just doing it for fun. I'm like, wow, maybe I could do this like for a living. And I'm like, nah, I don't think I want to do. I want to build a thing and parlay it into something bigger. I want to do what I didn't do at my previous company. And so that's what I chose. So essentially, Joel, it was really just calling people, asking them how they're doing, what they were working on, what did they need help with? Could I connect them? And just doing that. Then what I did was I said, that sounds interesting. That sounds interesting. And I'd follow back up and say, hey, listen, I'm really interested in what you're doing. Are you interested to have a conversation about us working together somehow? I don't know what that looks like. And so it was really just connecting, because I had my head so far down building that previous company that I really didn't know all the cool things going on in the world, like really know. And so that's what that was about.
About how many people did you reach out to? Like, how many people did you connect to?
I have a picture of it.
Are we talking like dozens? Or are we talking like 5
to
10?
No, we're talking like maybe in the 50. I don't know how many names I could squeeze on that chalkboard, but I'm visually recalling it.
Yeah.
I mean, I think at least 50 people. Now, I'll tell you, Joel, some of those names I didn't want to call. And my wife's like, you're calling that person. So I'd call a bunch of people, because I started prejudging. I'm like, oh, well, he's too busy, or she, she's over here. I don't want to be in that space. And so she's like, you got to do it. And so I did, and I was surprised a few times. Sometimes I was right on the hunches, and I'm like, or like maybe like there was like a thing I didn't feel good about from the past, so I didn't do it, but I did it anyway, and I'm so glad that I did.
Well, I think it's important to realize that, like, especially as experts in the world that we live in, like, personal branding is everything. Like, as you are going through your entire life, I'm not even just going to say professional career, your entire life, like, you're building your own personal brand. Like, your network is everything. So if something comes, like, it didn't come crashing down for you, but like if something, life altering happens and you have to pivot, like, smiling and dialing. I've never even heard that phrase before, but that's a fantastic way to just kind of unlock what you've already built for yourself. Like, you're building, and speaking to everyone here, like, you're building your own asset and your own network. And that's what's going to keep you afloat when you need help, and just asking, how can I help? What are you working on? Yeah. I mean, I'm sure that started just tons and tons of opportunities and tons of conversations.
It totally did. It was amazing. And, sometimes I could help out, some I couldn't, some didn't sound great, but it was the fact that I called and connected, and you're spot on. The network is what you take. And I'm very fortunate to benefit from that network here at WealthFit, because I can reach out to a lot of people that I met and bring them in. So it makes life a lot easier. So the one thing I wish I had done at the previous company was I wish I had invested more time into that relationship build. And it's a tricky thing, because you got to run the business, you got all these things to do. But, those things can serve you in the next thing that you'll create, or the next business you'll open, or whatever.
How has your professional life changed, making the pivot from, your company in Florida to where you are now with WealthFit in San Diego? Like, what's different now?
Man, so many things. I'll tell you, this was the part of the story that makes me slow down a bit. I'll tell you, leaving the previous company, my identity and ego was attached to it. I've learned a ton about myself. So I'll get to lifestyle. Just remind me, Joel, hold me accountable.
Yep.
But I think it's important to recognize, like, when I left, my identity and ego was attached to it. And so, like, when I wasn't part of the company, who was Dustin? And so it was probably the darkest. I haven't had crazy things happen in my life. I'm very fortunate. But that was the darkest part of my life, because I was battling with demons, because I didn't have like the sense of worth and fulfillment in a work product or building something. I remember getting into fights with my wife, Missy, and I'm so grateful that she hung in there with me, because then I started worrying about finance. All these demons inside were just eating away at me. I couldn't provide. I mean, it was like, like baked into your DNA, like for guys or creators, like we want to provide for our family. And like, I wasn't providing like I was before. So it was weird. So it's the darkest period of my life, but the greatest opportunity for growth. And so now what it looks like, I learned about ego. I'm a big fan of stoicism. You know, I got introduced to Ryan Holiday, and obviously Ferriss talks about it. And so I've gone down that, and I'm really starting to understand there's a way to live and detach from certain things and just go out there, have fun, build, and what will be, will be. And so what life looks like now is I'm in San Diego. I've learned so much thing about running the previous business by actually removing myself from the situation. It's crazy. It's like, holy crap, what was I thinking? Why was I running the business that way? Why did we do that? And because I extracted myself, I was able to see that. And so I think that's incredibly powerful. And then finally, I'll say we moved to San Diego and we found a partnership arrangement. So we're essentially in an incubator where there's a big company around us that we get to leverage resources. And so from that, I get to see how this company with, you know, a couple hundred employees manages and operates. Because my team at the previous company was no bigger than, you know, 15 in the office at one time. And so to see how they run it, I've grown tremendously as a person, as a leader. And that's, Joel, really that's what I'm really addicted to and fascinated by, is just my own personal growth and learning and educating and evolving. And life is great, but it was really sucky and bad for that long time until this. And I think that had to occur for me to appreciate and to be better father, entrepreneur, husband, to get to this point. So
who introduced you to Ryan Holiday and Stoicism, out of curiosity?
They were reading a book. This big company was reading a book. The managers were reading a book, and I walked into a meeting. I'm like, what's that? And so I got the book and I read it. And then they do a book club, which I think is a great idea. I wish we had done that. They would do a book club and talk about it, to cement it versus just you reading, you know, in your bedroom or wherever. And it just lit up my world. So I read Ego is the Enemy, Obstacle is the Way. Then I went and bought like Marcus Aurelius, like, you know, just I went down the whole route. It's like, you know, finding a seminar, personal growth for the first time. And I'm grateful because there have been tricky situations. And I know if something like this, if I'm going to go down a similar path that I've experienced, I'm going to be a lot less emotional about it. I will for sure have emotions because we're human, but I will understand how to conduct myself a lot better.
Stoicism is fascinating.
Fascinating.
I just started reading up on it within the past 3 or 4 months, and I'm looking at my bookshelf right now. I can't remember. Oh yeah, it was the Daily Stoic. Yep.
I got that. Yep. Yeah. I do that every day.
Yeah, I did it every day for about a month and a half, and then it kind of fell off. So, but it's great stuff. You know, it's an interesting. Stoicism is interesting because it kind of like it can rub people the wrong way because it makes it sound, if you come off, it sounds like you don't care. Like you come off as if you don't care about things, and it's not that you don't care, but it's you just don't let things bother you. Like what will be. I think that you said that the best. And yeah, Stoicism is very fascinating. It's very fascinating.
Agree.
So let's talk about lifestyle. I don't want to skip over that. I'm going to hold you accountable to it. So what is the lifestyle like now?
So I'm in San Diego. I feel, I'm going to say this with a grain of salt because you just showed me what was outside your window, which was snow for the audience. Every time I came to San Diego for an event, it was always 70 and sunny. And everyone said, oh, I would love to live in San Diego. And I'm from Florida. So, you know, it's not crazily different except for the humidity and there's less humidity in San Diego and there's less bugs and alligators to eat you. I'm learning all the things on how they're different now. And so when I get here though, there is May gray and June gloom, which is kind of like a Seattle. It's just kind of dark. It's not sunny. So that's like, you know, the end of the world to San Diegans. And so May gray, June gloom. And then there's a heat wave. Now the houses out here, if you're close to the water, they don't have air conditioning because like you don't necessarily need it, except for the freaking 5 days of the year where it's hot and your house just bakes and your baby is like, you know, on fire trying to go to bed. And so I got introduced to that. And Joel, I want last thing about the weather, and then I'll get off of it. It's raining incessantly here, which like it supposedly never rains here, and it's chilly, like it's 40s and again, I say this with a grain of salt because I know people have it a lot worse. And so life is great. I am 15 minutes away from where we shoot in the studio here. I am in an amazing neighborhood that we essentially walk down. You know Old Town?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Remember? So I'm on the hill on Old Town, which, like, if you haven't been to Old Town, audience, listening in, if you haven't been to Old Town, it's like it's like the birthplace of California. It's a big Mexican restaurant tourist trap, pretty much. But up the hill is where I live. And it's really cool because I walk down the hill with the fam. We eat Mexican, maybe too much. And then you have to go way back up the hill. So it makes me feel a little bit better. So I'm doing things differently than I did before. I'd like to say I am exercising more, but we're expecting a baby and we've got 2 already. And so things are a little crazy right now in flux.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. So I'd like to say I'm exercising as much as I should be, but I'm not. But I'm just grateful. Grateful.
That's awesome, man. Well, Dustin, we talked about a ton of stuff today. We talked about what you're doing with WealthFit, which I love that mission, by the way. I love what you guys are doing. I think that it fills a very big void, a very big need for anyone who is looking to become financially stable, financially savvy, and just taking care of themselves in lots of different ways in the finance sense. We talked about your journey that you went through over the past 9 years with your previous company, the transition into this new company, and the different hurdles, the different obstacles that you went through. And specifically, as experts and entrepreneurs, like, we're going to hit some pretty big roadblocks. I mean, You said it earlier. Entrepreneurs, we run through walls. That's kind of what we do, but that can get debilitating after a while, especially when you build up a lot of momentum. And so. And then you talked about how you went smiling and dialing to find this new opportunity with WealthFit, which I think is fantastic. I think it can't be understated, or it can't be overstated enough, how important your network is, and just being able to find the next opportunity just by calling people and saying hi. Say, hey, what are you working on? Right? Yeah. Is there anything that we left out that you wanted to make sure that we talked about during our chat together?
No, I think we've covered it big time. I typically like to share this concept, and it's, no matter what your goal is. So if you're building a business and that's on your mind, great. Maybe you're working too much in the business and maybe your health isn't where it should be. So maybe it's a health goal, or maybe you want to do a relationship. What I like to say is, like, listen, just take one small action a day. And action could be, listen to, the next podcast from Joel. It could be, read his next email. It could be go onto Google and search. It could be go to a seminar. That's kind of a big step. But just take one small action a day, because you build what we talked about, momentum, and you'll be surprised at where you end up because of the momentum. Oftentimes it's not going to take you as long as you think, but if you just keep starting and stopping, it's going to take you a whole lot longer. So just keep building that momentum, keep, towards that goal, and you're going to get there a whole lot sooner than you think.
Yeah. Wise words. Dustin, where can people connect with you? Where can people check out what you're working on, and where can they follow you?
Yeah, absolutely. We launched a podcast here, something I've always wanted to do. It's called the Get WealthFit Show, and super excited. I've learned a lot about interviewing. We've got some pretty amazing folks from all different walks of life, athletes, celebrities, people talking about money, the money conversation, investing, that sort of deal. So the best way is at getwealthfit.com. It's a redirect essentially to the podcast page on the site. And all the stuff is there. If you want to connect with me, you can find all the information right on there.
Awesome. We'll make sure to include that in the show notes. So getwealthfit.com.
That's right.
And, so if you're listening right now, please check it out. Go connect with Dustin. Let him know that you heard him on Experts Unleashed. Dustin, it's been a blast, man. I really had a lot of fun, and I've enjoyed listening to your story in more detail. And I know that we'll be talking again in the very near future. So if you're listening right now, go connect with Dustin. Let him know you heard him on our show, and we'll see you all on the next episode. Take care.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Experts Unleashed. If you're looking for new and innovative ways to design and execute your plan to become a 6 or 7 figure expert without the massive team, apply now at theperfectexpert.com.